think I've got a couple more people popping on. Mark, if you want to go ahead and get started, you're welcome to.
Glad to be here with y'all. Glad everybody's safe, and just put together with the help of Christy in our office a few bullet points. I thought I'd just run through, and then quickly, Amanda, and then we'll open up to questions. Of course, obviously, COVID-19's brought new challenges to all of our lives and is reshaping how we're doing business in the real estate and mortgage industry. It has infected more than 788,000 nationally and killed more than 42,000 in the U.S. The first COVID-19 case in Mississippi was March the 11th. Today, we have over 4,183 deaths. In Desoto County, we have, as of this morning, 239 cases, confirmed positives, and 3 deaths. Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves extended the shelter-in-place orders until 8 a.m. Monday the 27th. At that point, he expects to be slowly reopening the state to business. Yesterday, the state eased some restrictions on non-essential businesses, including clothing stores, florists, to provide curbside and delivery services. Salons can sell products, but still cannot provide services such as cutting hair and doing nails and stuff like that. When Mississippi begins to open up, we'll still need a prolonged period of social distancing, a slow return to normal, and most likely gatherings of 10 or more will still be banned, although there was some talk, I think President Trump maybe mentioned expanding that. Reeves has created a private sector task force called Restate Mississippi to help the state economically recover from the pandemic. The task force will make recommendations. School buildings in Mississippi are closed for the remainder of the year, but students are continuing distance learning. Distance learning, telemedicine, working from home has highlighted the need for high-speed internet. I know we as realtors run across folks all the time that buy a house and then realize there's no high-speed internet. We did a survey a few years ago at the county. We're revamping that survey right now. You can go online to our website and take that. We're trying to, we can't make any of the providers provide service to the unserved areas, but we can strongly encourage them to. I know C Spire is coming online in some new areas. AT&T is expanding their fiber. Even North Central Electric has plans to provide high-speed internet. So we're doing that survey. COVID-19 has had a big impact on local government, cities, and counties. We're spending more money on personal protective equipment for our ambulances and for our first responders, testing and overtime for first responders. And, you know, one thing for sure, restaurant tourism taxes, most of you know about our tourism taxes, are based on restaurant sales and hotels and motels. And a large portion of that goes in the county to support the Lander Center. And in the cities, everyone's heard of the pennies for parks that South Haven and Horn Lake has. We have no casinos in Desoto County, but we all know that the casinos being shut down has a big impact as well, because so many of those people are laid off from work, and most of them live in Desoto County. Most of y'all sold them a house somewhere in Desoto County. So there's thousands of laid off casino workers. In the last aid package, Congress allocated $150 billion to directly help cities through the pandemic. But that money was only for cities with populations over 500,000. There is a new push for federal money to help local governments, but it's not a done deal. We actually learned of something yesterday we applied for that the county may get a grant of about $50,000. Yesterday, Board of Supervisors met. We extended our emergency declaration till Monday, April 27th to mirror the governor's and the state's order. One thing we've done, we've talked with all the mayors in Desoto County on a daily basis, and we're trying to coordinate our efforts, because if South Haven originally when this started, closed their restaurants, and Olive Branch didn't, and everyone would run over there, and then we'd have a higher incident of COVID-19 in Olive Branch. So we've talked with the mayors daily, and we're trying to all stay on the same page. Continuing to coordinate that. We did have a couple of positive cases with DeSoto County employees, one in the Sheriff's Department, one in our county admin building. We closed the admin building completely for a day a week or so ago and did a thorough sanitization. And then we've got it closed to the public, but you can still do business. There are people in there working. For instance, the tax assessor's office is working. The tax collector's office is working. GIS is working. The district attorney is in our office. There's still trials going on. If you've got business in there, you can call. Many times they'll meet you at the door. Our facilities department has put drop boxes at the door, secure drop boxes. If you need to drop something off, you need to drop a check by, if you need to drop a set of plans by, anything like that, we've got drop boxes at the door. We're doing our spring cleanup a little differently. Some of you have been out on the cruise with me, picking up the roadside. We ask everyone to pick up the road in front of their house and around that, and let's make DeSoto County beautiful this spring. And we've placed dumpsters in 14 locations. If you want to pick up the trash on your road, if you want to clean out your garage, it's a good time. And we've extended those through this Friday. So we've got public dumpsters located around the county, 14 of them. Last week they emptied 65 times, so people are using them. Unemployment concerns us all. Last week the state reported processing 130,000 claims. To put that in perspective, 2 weeks ago there were 30,000 claims. The week prior to that there were 1,000. So we went from 1,000 to 30,000 to 130,000. So that's a little bit scary to all of us. Maximum unemployment in Mississippi is $235 a week, but the federal act allows for an additional $600 a week. So some folks are making $835 a week unemployment, and they can draw that for up to 39 weeks. A little bit different than the way unemployment used to work. You had to prove you were looking for a job. Now you don't. If you've been furloughed, and even though it's going to take a while to get through and get your claim processed, that would go back to the day you lost your job. And so the Mississippi tax filing deadline is extended to May the 15th. The federal deadline is July the 15th. Those of you in property management like me, evictions are suspended. People are still required to pay rent and mortgage payments. I was proud to hear the governor say that, but we know some people are struggling. I know I've had tenants that just called me and I said, don't worry about it. We'll come out of this together, but some of them just couldn't pay, or some of them made partial payments. IRS began issuing the stimulus payments by direct deposit. There's still millions of people that are eligible who haven't received them yet. Starting this Friday, the IRS will begin issuing paper checks. They will go out every week based on adjusted gross income. Fridays will go to people with an adjusted gross income of less than $10,000. Next week, they'll go to people with an adjusted gross income of $20,000. Then the next week is $30,000. It will continue to go out like that. A lot of people, if they had your 2018 taxes was the last taxes you filed, they used that number. They used your number of dependents on that. If you filed your 2019 taxes, then they use that. The Paycheck Protection Program, which made loans to small businesses, ran out of money. The federal government's Paycheck Protection Program ran out of money. The folks in Washington are on the verge of striking a deal on a nearly $500 billion package to extend funding for the Paycheck Protection Program. President Trump said last night that he would sign an executive order temporarily suspending immigration to the United States, describing it as an effort to protect American jobs. So locally, it's been a challenge. We've had to deal with a lot of things that were hard decisions, like closing restaurants or closing them only to drive-through or carry out, knowing that would impact jobs, knowing that would impact businesses. We've other bit, most of the gyms and barbershops and beauty shops voluntarily closed, but some of them didn't, and so we put out a mandate for that. The county has had, I think we had about 8 special meetings pertaining to COVID-19, just to analyze the latest data. The governor said, everybody's got an opinion on what you ought to do, what you should do, but we're trying to listen to the professionals, listen to our medical experts, listen to our health department experts, and trying to protect people. When you close barbershops and beauty shops and fitness centers and gyms, it's going to impact jobs. So that's the hard part of this. But anyway, that's kind of what we've been up to at county government. A little bit of update what's going on at the state level and at the federal level. And Amanda, is that pretty much what you wanted me to cover?
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. Does anybody have any questions for Mark?
Well, there you
Mark,
go.
I have one. How do you you mentioned the penny for parks and everything and how taxes will be down. How do you think it'll impact everything?
We were talking about that yesterday. The county collects 2% tourism, which goes to Lander Center, countywide on hotels, motels, and restaurants. The city of South Haven, city of Horn Lake. The check we got last week only reflected a minor downturn, maybe about $100,000 over the previous month's check, and but I look for it probably to be cut in half or more. It's a period of collections, and so we're standing down on some projects right now. We had a project we were looking at yesterday that came in way over budget, and we put that on hold. We're looking at an expansion of the Lander Center. I've talked to several people about that, to put a convention center there. I think we want to wait till that 2% tourism tax stabilizes or normalizes, I guess. And then also the Lander Center's been shut down for a month and a half, so there's no event revenue there either. So, it's all outgoing, no income there right now, and look for the tourism tax money to go down. The good thing for the county is the county doesn't depend on sales tax. And as y'all know, every realtor knows taxes in Mississippi are paid in arrears. So the taxes for 2019 were all paid in January or early February. And so we had collected the ad valorem or property taxes. The cities are going to be hurt worse than we are. The cities also collect property tax. I mean, I know all of you are used to looking up the tax records. The school board collects taxes for the operation of the school system, but the cities are the only ones that depend a great amount on sales tax. So I think even though the Walmarts and the Krogers of the world are going like gangbusters, a lot of small businesses for a month or two are collecting no sales tax revenue. So definitely going to be a concern, and going to cause some belt tightening. I told someone the other day, I said, well, I was already a fiscal conservative, but I'm about to get a lot more conservative, because we're just going to hold off on some projects till we see how this impact, how people losing their jobs, businesses closing down, our tax structure. The Desoto County budget is about $160 million a year, and it comes from various sources. Property tax is a large portion of it. A personal property tax is about 18 million of that. And if businesses shut down and pay no personal property tax on the assets in their business, then the county will be forced to either cut services or make it up somewhere else. And we don't want to cut services. So we're just, holding our breath on all that. I mean, that's not the biggest problem we're worried about right now. We're worried about everybody's health and well-being, and we'll get through this together. I was on a call with some realtors a week or two ago, and they asked me my thoughts on the real estate market. I think, and I hope there'll be a pent-up demand for real estate when we come out of this. I think a lot of people, I know I personally had clients that are standing down. Our office has suspended some listings and showings. When we come out of this, I hope there's a pent-up demand. I hope interest rates are still low, and the market picks back up again.
Awesome. We had a question mark for you in the chat box. Do you have an update on when the parks will reopen, especially maybe the DeSoto River Park?
We'll address that on Monday. We normally meet first and third Monday, which yesterday was our regular meeting, and we've called a special meeting for next Monday. So we're kind of like the governor. We're going to wait and see what a difference a week makes, and we'll make that decision in next Monday's board meeting. We've left our walking trails open. If you hadn't tried Johnson Creek out over off of 61, I recommend you go try that. We're closing the playground equipment for obvious reasons, and some of the county parks, but the walking trails are still open.
Awesome. Anybody else have any other questions for Mark?
I guess we want to go back to the property management thing. If you've got rentals and everything, and you've got tenants that either can or cannot pay, and they may be using this as a reason not to pay, has the governor put any kind of mandates on, you mentioned it briefly a while ago, and about eviction and things like that. I don't want to have to evict anybody, but have you got any way to deal with things like this? If they don't pay?
Well, you're exactly right. I've wondered if some people were using this just as a reason. I know another property management guy that said the guy hadn't paid rent and said it's been suspended. Well, no, it's not. The rent hasn't been suspended, and his tenant hadn't lost his job. So I really think that person was just using it. And we all know there's some that will take advantage of that and use that. But lease agreements are still valid. The governor has said rent's still due. I know there's a couple of tenants I've got that have lost their jobs, and we're going to work with them, maybe let them catch up over 2 or 3 months when things normalize. And I'm sure that's what most of y'all are going to do as well. But once things go back to normal, and particularly if you've got somebody like that took advantage of the situation, you just get up in front of justice court like we've all done and tell it to the judge. And we've all had to do that. And I have a saying, Your Honor, they have to pay to stay, but they didn't pay, so they can't stay. Anyway, but you want to work with the people. I know I've got some that legitimately don't have income right now, and we're not going to do anything with them, and just work with them when people get back on their feet.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Mark, you've got 2 more questions in the chat. The first one is, what about a road update in the Holly Springs Road name change proposal?
All right, the Holly Springs name change proposal, and what that amounts to is we're going to have old Holly Springs Road and we're going to have new Holly Springs Road. So we had it on the agenda yesterday for a name change. Many of y'all, I took a little sabbatical from Facebook, but I'm back on now, and I've been updating about District 5 Supervisor Michael Lee. Saturdays a week ago, he had an emergency appendectomy. His appendix actually ruptured, and he spent 8 days in the hospital and was pretty sick. But fortunately, he came home Sunday, and we tabled that yesterday because it is a road in Michael's district, and he couldn't be at the board meeting. So we'll bring that back up when District 5 Supervisor can be there, and honestly, when all 5 of the supervisors can be there, because yesterday we had a meeting with 4, and while he's recovering. But yeah, we've got to name the old road and the new road. If you haven't been out that way, I know a lot of you that go out towards Lewisburg School, out Holly Springs Road, have gotten there and seen the gate closed because the road was flooded. It floods 7 or 8 times a year, and we're finally got the funding. We got $13.5 million from the federal government. We got $7 million from state government. So that's $20.5 million. Actually, we've got another $3 million from state government. So that's $23.5. And then the rest of it is from a bond issue and from what we call our rainy day fund. And the whole project's going to be about a $40 million project. What they're going to do is raise the road bed 10 feet for a 2-mile stretch and replace 5 bridges out there. And most of y'all know that's where Camp Creek and Coldwater River all come together there. And when it was built, however many years ago, it was built too low, and then the creeks have silted in over the years, and it floods quite often. Bye, Leanne. Leanne saying bye.
Mark, you had another question. It's in a private chat. From the Board of Supervisors position, are the requests for development proposals slowed in recent weeks?
They have. We actually, the Board of Supervisors canceled the March meeting of the Planning Commission, and yesterday we voted to cancel the April meeting, which is next Thursday night. I asked our planning director, Benny Hopkins, if this was jeopardizing any pending projects, and he said no. What it may slow down is maybe some minor lot requests and all that. It's a little bit different. We've got 5 supervisors in our boardroom. We have spread way out, and when we meet, we're 6 feet apart, and we've got masks and hand sanitizer and all that. But the Planning Commission is comprised of 15 members. And it's 3 planning commissioners from each supervisor's district. And if you get 15 people in our boardroom, and we even talked about moving it to the large courtroom across the street, but then people coming in to talk for or against the development, we were just concerned about health and safety. So I talked to one of the planning commissioners this morning. We're going to try to get them back on track by the meeting at the end of May. But to my knowledge, there's no development's been jeopardized, and yes, it has slowed down considerably. Although home permits are not down. We got statistics on that yesterday. They're tracking with last year. The number of final inspections and electrical inspections and plumbing inspections and everything else the building department is having to do has not slowed down. And we're doing that a little differently. Our inspectors used to come into the office every morning, get their work orders, and go out and start doing their inspections. They take their trucks home now. They've got laptops in their truck, and we send them their orders there, and they're dispatched straight from their house. And they've been busy, just as busy as they were this month last year.
Great. Anybody else have any questions? No? Yes? I think that's all we've got, Mark. Thank you for that.
All right. Well, thank you. I enjoyed it. And everyone's got my cell phone number. If you have questions, call or text me and let me know. I will say this, pray for your local, state, and federal elected leaders. There's a lot of criticism of our governor, And I said, look, Tate's right where we are. We're having to make hard decisions that impact lives. We want to keep people safe, but we don't want to destroy the economy of our state. So it's a delicate balancing act. So remember to pray for your mayors and your aldermen, your supervisors, your governor and lieutenant governor, and the president and vice president. Everybody's having to make some hard decisions right now.
Thank you. Eddie Reed is on here with Guarantee. I was going to see if Eddie would give us an update on the lending side of everything while we have them on. I know interest rates have adjusted and whatnot. If y'all have any questions about that. Eddie, would you give a update?
Sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So as most of you probably know, we've seen a credit crunch, was what I would call it, a tightening of credit standards. Most noticeably, USDA is probably the one that I hear the most about that people aren't really lending on. VA as well, FHA. Most of that's just due to the forbearance that's been granted to homeowners, and a lot of the wholesale lenders and servicers not having really the liquidity to front the payments, because even though the payments are in forbearance by the customers, they still have to be paid to the bondholders. So I haven't really heard anything yet about a big credit facility that might ease some of that pain, but hopefully we get some movement on that as well. Talked to about 4 or 5 different lenders in the past 3 days about how long we think this is going to last, what's available, what's not available. A lot of what I'm hearing is credit scores have gone up from we were at a 640 on 600 on FHA. Now it's 640 or 680 for some lenders. So probably expect it to last throughout the summer until the credit facilities kick in. The forbearance hasn't even started yet. That's estimated to cost $100 billion in 6 months. So it's a big deal. It's not a small thing that they can get past. But the good news is that we're still seeing quite a bit of people wanting to get pre-approved, and hopefully better credit score borrowers can get pre-approved. But I'm hearing some lenders putting the customers on hold for the meantime, working on credit repair. There's other kinds of things that can kind of get them up to speed so that they can obtain a loan. But I would say that for the most part, just credit scores and credit requirements are harsher and more restrictive. But if anybody's got any questions, I'd be glad to answer them as well.
Anybody have any questions? Okay, well, thank you for that update.
Absolutely.
Does anybody else have any questions or updates or anything they want to say about anything? Go ahead, Kimberly.
Yeah, I just wanted to take a second to ask for all of y'all's help. At the last Member Connect, Mr. Olselton was on, the superintendent, and he mentioned, and I think Amanda actually asked the question about helping our schools and if there was anything we could do. And so I actually contacted Jerry with the schools, and she put me in contact with Beth Gardner at Hunger to Hope. And we have teamed up with them. We're going to be a drop-off site for some needs that they need. Our schools are in need of gallon Ziploc bags and paper lunch sacks. They have the food to provide their lunches, but nobody anticipated the need, at the beginning of the year for the sacks. They have to have things to put them in to give them to the kids. They can't just give them a sandwich and nothing. And all the suppliers are out and everything that they have to go through. So that's a big need for our actual schools. But Hunger to Hope is a great organization that is providing boxes for our families who are without a job, who need this. It's kind of a continuation of what the schools are doing. So we just have, I'm just going to throw it out here, we just have this little flyer. You can go to our Facebook at Select Title Mid-South, and it's on there. Share, help us get the word out, donate if you can. We're going to have a box outside of our office. We just really want to help them be able to continue to do this for families. And I just know that realtors and people in our industry, we all love our community, and we just thought it would be a great opportunity for us to come behind them and support them. So please help us do that, and really do a big turnout for them. They can really use that. So thank y'all in advance for any help you can give.
Thank you. We actually posted the flyer on our Facebook page, so if you want to go look for the list, it's on there. And that's actually Mark's daughter-in-law. So we have a realtor connection with it. Leadership helped them last year. It's a great organization. If nobody has any other questions or comments, that's it for today. Next Tuesday will likely maybe be our last member connect if we can end up getting in our offices in the next 2 weeks. Fingers crossed. So to go out with a bang, we have national social media video speaker Marky Lemons. She's based in Chicago. She was supposed to have done a actual class for us in May as a partner with Memphis, and we hope to still have her in person by the end of the year. But she's going to be on this next week for a full hour of talking about working with clients in this new virtual world, doing videos, being comfortable. She is a social media guru. She's super funny. So she's a really good instructor. And so make sure that you're on here next Tuesday at 10. There's only 100 seats, virtual seats, of course. So be sure to join us for that. If there's nothing else, I think that's it. I hope y'all have a good day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.